Some folks still dismiss 380 ACP as weak or outdated, but that kind of ignorant thinking hasn't kept up with reality. Fun fact, the Remington 51, which came in a 380 variant, was once cutting-edge defensive tech. A lot's changed since then, especially with projectiles like the Lehigh Defense Extreme Penetrator. Those are fluted bullets that can rival even the most advanced 9mm hollow points in performance. The real question now is which 380 pistols are actually worth carrying as your EDC. In this video, we'll go over 8 modern 380s built for real-world defense, featuring ported barrels, tie-up systems, optic-ready slides, and double-digit capacity. Low recoil, high performance. Stick around, this'll be a doozy. If you haven't kept up with what Smith & Wesson's been up to lately, you probably missed the part where they scrapped their old janky Bodyguard and rebuilt it from the ground up, this time to handle more like a mini M&P duty gun. The slab-sided slide now carries deep serrations you can grab with sweaty fingers, and the grip angle finally points naturally instead of forcing the muzzle low. Capacity jumps to 10 or 12 rounds, a relief for anyone tired of 6-shot micros. The flat-faced trigger feels leagues ahead of their old double-action system, braking at about 4 pounds with a crisp reset you can hear through ear protection. AmeriGlow night sights glow without being bulky, and the rear blade's sharp ledge lets you rack the gun off a table if you lose a hand in the fight. For extra control, the Performance Center carry comp ports a single vent at 12 o'clock, venting gas straight up and keeping the dot glued to the target. The frame, slide, and barrel still say under an inch wide, and the pistol weighs a hair under 12 ounces empty, so it disappears in an appendix holster. Price hovers around $400, which places real performance in reach of new carriers, while giving seasoned shooters a pocket-sized blaster that behaves like a duty gun. Ruger has a reputation for listening to their fans, and the original LCP Max was a result of it. They took note of every gripe lodged at the first-generation LCP and fixed them without bloating the profile. 10 rounds ride in its flush mag. The 12-round extension adds just enough grip for the last finger without printing. Despite the boost, the pistol still weighs just under 10 ounces, so it rests in a gym-short pocket as comfortably as a smartwatch. Trigger pull dropped to about 5.5 pounds and lost the gravelly creep, making rapid doubles far easier than the original. A tritium front post encircled by a bold white donut jumps into view even against dark clothing, and the rear U-notch presents a shelf rugged enough to hook onto a belt for emergency one-hand manipulation. The best part? Just a few short weeks ago, Ruger started offering 2-thumb safety variants of their LCP Max. One simple lever, the other paired with a magazine disconnect and visual chamber window for jurisdictions that demand extra layers. At about $379 street price, the new Max turns the term pocket pistol into something you can run hard at defensive distances without feeling punished afterward. The original P365 started the whole Micro 9 craze, but some shooters never warmed to its recoil, so Sig decided to build a 380 variant. The new Lux, released just a few weeks ago, enhances shootability even further. A metal AXG grip module adds welcome mass low in the hand, anchoring the muzzle, and a slight integrated single port compensator vents gas without lengthening the barrel. The result is a pulse so gentle that new shooters run full boxes before noticing fatigue. Sig's flat X-Series trigger breaks sharply, shrugging off the mild sponge some folks sensed in early P365s. X-Ray 3 night sights ride high enough to clear the comp, and the optics-ready slide accepts the usual microdots without special plates. Capacity remains a robust 10+1, or 12 with the extended mag, and the slide stays a slim 1 inch, so existing holsters keep working. Sig hasn't officially announced the MSRP yet, but some listings, like one spotted at Nagel's, have it floating around at about the $1,000 mark. Could just be early hype or placeholder pricing, but if it ends up anywhere near that, we're talking Legion tier money for a softer shooting P365. Beretta revived its classic Cheetah, gave it modern ergonomics, and then released this tactical urban trim that feels like a tuxedo with combat boots. The Vertex-style straight grip replaces the old humpback. bringing the bore closer to the wrist and granting a more consistent trigger reach. 13-round flush magazines come standard. Beretta adds a 15-rounder in the box for those who want a slight extension. An alloy frame balances the blowback slide, keeping unloaded weight around 25 ounces, enough to make 380 recoil feel like a rimfire pop. The barrel stretches to 4.4 inches, threaded 1/2 by 28, making suppressor pairing painless. A DLC-coated trigger group glides on polished pins, yielding a surprisingly smooth 3¼ double-action press and an almost glass rod single-action release. Fully ambidextrous safety decocker levers and a reversible mag release welcome southpaws. The slide cut accepts microdots, though popping the optic plate removes the rear irons, so many owners swap to a dot with integrated notch or carry a taller front post. Live fire feels more like a compact service pistol than a vintage pocket gun. The longer sight radius tracks naturally, the bore stays flat, and shot-to-shot transitions remain feather light. Cost rides above most polymer pieces at around $750, which isn't a bad price considering the craftsmanship and features. Walther's PK380 earned praise for gentle recoil, but criticism for its marshmallow trigger and stiff slide. The new PD380 addresses both, while borrowing styling from the PDP flagship. Sculpted super-terrain serrations invite a confident pinch, and the tilting barrel system lets engineers run a lighter recoil spring than any straight blowback rival. So clerks with wrist injuries or seniors battling arthritis work the slide comfortably. Capacity sits at 9+1, and the magazines fill without thumb bruises, an overlooked perk for newer shooters. The performance duty texture grip locks into the palm without cheese grater abrasiveness. Barrel length sits at 3.7 inches, striking a balance between velocity and concealment. The trigger still operates double action, but breaks more cleanly than its predecessor, sliding past 11 pounds on the first shot, then resetting for a lighter follow-up. Rear sight posts adjust for windage and elevation and accept Glock pattern replacements, opening the door to fiber optic or tritium upgrades. Unloaded weight rests at a shade over 20 ounces, light enough for all-day waistband carry, yet heavy enough to soak recoil from hotter defensive loads. MSRP is just under $450, with street prices around $100 lower. Glock purists wanted the brand's reliability in a gun slim enough to ride unseen in business attire, and the 42 continues to answer that call year after year. The slide measures under an inch wide, so it vanishes in a pocket sleeve or appendix rig. Unlike many blowback 380s, Glock employs a locked breech design, which tames the slap and reduces the slide's reciprocating mass. 6-round magazines feed reliably. The current generation with 03 followers cured early nose-down issues, and aftermarket baseplates can add a round or two, though I always get vet extensions with mixed bullet profiles before carrying them. The trigger mimics standard Gen 4 geometry at about 5.5 pounds, predictable and short on over-travel. Polymer sights ship with the familiar .NU, though steel night options install in minutes thanks to Glock's simple dovetail. Field stripping remains the brand's dead simple routine, encouraging owners to keep the pistol clean and trustworthy. At about 12 ounces empty, recoil registers as a brisk push rather than a snap, allowing shooters with smaller hands or reduced grip strength to control the gun through long strings. Street prices hover near $420, placing it neck and neck with most competing micros. Yet parts support, holster availability, and the pistol's Glock DNA keep it a perennial pick for deep concealment missions. Girsan channels late 70s pocket auto charm in the MC14T, pairing an enclosed slide with a trick tip-up barrel that eliminates slide manipulation during loading. Press the frame latch, pivot the barrel open like a break-action shotgun, drop a cartridge in, snap it shut, and you're chambered. Arthritis sufferers rejoice. 13-round steel magazines built by Metgarb feed without a hiccup, and many vintage Browning BDA mags function as spares. Double action weight lands near 9 pounds, single action at 4.5, with a distinct wall that breaks clean. The manual safety sits 1911 style on the frame, giving cocked and locked carry for those who prefer a single action first shot, though there's no decocker for traditional DA start. Sights are steel 3-dot. Windage tweaks come by drifting the rear. but the pistol prints respectably at 15 yards once dialed. The slide's low reciprocating mass softens recoil, and the 19-ounce all-metal frame absorbs the remainder, so rapid-fire groups stay tight. Finished quality punches above the $350 asking price, showing polished flats and smooth edges that rival pistols twice as dear. The MC14T may look retro, yet on-range reliability and capacity place it firmly in the current carry conversation, especially if you struggle with tiny slides or just love the mechanical party trick. Nearly a century ago, the Walther PP introduced double-action carry to police sidearms, and the new production run proves the design still earns its keep. Everything echoes the original: wave-cut slide serrations, slim trigger guard, and a barrel fixed to the frame for bullseye-level accuracy. Walther added a discreet beaver tail extension that shields larger hands from slide bite without spoiling the lines. All-steel construction elevates unloaded weight to 24 ounces, but that mass turns 380 recoil into something resembling a rimfire pop, ideal for shooters chasing absolute control. The first double-action pull measures around 12 pounds, heavy yet consistent, while the single-action pull sits near 4 and breaks with a click that feels almost surgical. 7-round mags slide home with vintage heel release grace, and spares fit flat against the body in a coin pocket. A red front dot pairs with a fixed rear U, fast enough for defensive distance while remaining true to the pistol's heritage. Finish options include stainless or deep black, each treated with modern corrosion inhibitors so sweat and humidity don't pit the metal like war-era examples. Pricing nudges the $1,000 line, more than many newcomers want to spend, yet countless shooters hand over the card anyway, especially James Bond LARPers out there. I know, right? Especially James Bond LARPers out there. I know, right? I've been LARPing for a while. But that's going to do it for this video. The 380 auto cartridge has been around for over a century, and it's still evolving. Which of the pistols on our list caught your eye? Own any of the guns on this list? Sound off in the comments. While you're down there, please hit like, share this vid with your fellow gun buddies, subscribe, and ring that bell for more 2A content.